Ball rolling. Again, my name is Dave Dubeau. Welcome to tonight's presentation, Constant Capital, how to enjoy virtuously endless supply of JV partners and their money for your real estate deals. We're going to dig in here, you guys. So buckle up your seatbelts, shut down all the other distractions if you would, please. And I know there are so many distractions, especially when we're watching an online presentation, but for your benefit even more than mine because I can't see you. But for your benefit, I highly recommend that you shut down your Facebook, shut down other tabs, put your phone on silent. Tell the family you're busy for the next hour and a half or so, give or take. I've got a lot of stuff to go through very, very quickly, you guys. You're going to get massive value from tonight's presentation, but only if you actually pay attention. So just give yourself the gift of focus for the next little while. And I just want to send out a really big thank you to the Real Estate Investing Training and Education Club. That's a big one. The Right Club, the whole gang there, Daniel St. Jean, his lovely wife Laurel, the amazing Miss Sarah Larby, the outstanding Mr. Alfonso Salemi, all the gang, all the rock stars that make up the Right Club. I mean, if you guys are going out to their events, which I highly recommend, you are in good hands. That is, I mean, I've spoken at tons of clubs across Canada and the United States. That is by far one of the top clubs I've spoken at, if not the top club, and so new, but just the energy there, the caliber of people that you have there, the number of people that are actually doing deals there is outstanding. So thanks again to everybody at the Right Club for making this possible, and kudos to you for being part of that whole club as well. Big treat for everybody that's on the call live tonight. I'm going to give you some bonuses when you stick around to the end of the call, a special report, pre-release copy of my newest book, and I'm going through 200 slides in very, very rapid order tonight. So if you ask nicely, I'll give you a copy of the slide deck as well at the end of the call. All right, so stick around for the end of the presentation, and that's for people that are on this live. So some quick house rules. What I'm going to be talking about here tonight, nothing to do with get rich quick or money magically falling out of the sky. What I'm going to be showing you actually takes some effort. You have to work at it. This is not for rip-off artists. If you are wanting to be one of those or rip people off or cheat them, I don't want to help you. And I'm going to be sharing some case studies. I'm going to be sharing some personal examples here. And neither my results nor my clients' results are typical. The people you're going to be hearing about are extraordinary real estate entrepreneurs. They work hard. They've overcome a lot of challenges, and they earned the results I'm going to be sharing with you here tonight. Your success or your lack thereof is completely up to you. All right. Now, let's see if you're in the right place. Does this sound like you? Have you hit the wall when it comes to down payments or credit to buy more properties? Do you understand that real estate investing is the way to create financial freedom for yourself and your family if only you were able to get more of it and grow your portfolio? Are you frustrated because you know the value and the potential of real estate investing, but a lot of the people around you, your friends, your family, your coworkers, don't get it? They don't get that whole concept. Or maybe you see other people, even other people with less experience than you have, buying lots and lots of properties and creating their ideal real estate lifestyle, and you just have no idea of how they're doing it. Or are you looking for a way to be able to quit your job, your job, and enjoy that real estate lifestyle, but at this point, you're nowhere close to that? Or do you feel like using other people's money, OPM, is a daunting task and it might be more than you can handle? All right. Bottom line, do you feel like there might be something blocking you from really succeeding and going big in real estate investing? Well, if any of that stuff sounds like you, then I've actually got some really good news for you, because none of those things are the real problem. If you want to know what the real problem is, the real problem is that you haven't cracked the code on raising capital yet. And here's the good news. Once you do crack the code, then you're going to have complete control over how big and how fast you grow your real estate investing portfolio. You can choose if you continue to work at that job or not. If you love your job, great. If you don't, dump it. You can generate capital on demand. Instead of chasing after them, you can have investors reaching out to you interested in your deals. The people around you will suddenly be open to the idea of investing in real estate, and some of those folks will even be reaching out to you having you tell them more about it. And you're going to enjoy having investor meetings and showing people your real estate deals because you're never going to be worried about being rejected or looking needy or creepy or desperate ever again. And you can hold your head high knowing that you have created your own success through real estate investing. All right. So why is it that some people are successful at real estate investing while the vast majority are not? What is this so-called golden key to real estate investing success? Well, it's simple. It's raising money for your deals. All right. Now, before you say, well, yeah, Dave, that's pretty obvious. I've heard about that before. Hear me out, because what you're going to be learning about tonight flies in the face of what a lot of people think is common knowledge when it comes to raising money. It's going to make your life so much simpler and easier and make this whole process a lot faster for you. So if you're not doing this already, I know what's holding you back, because it's the same thing that was holding me back for a long time. And that is the idea of having to pick up the phone and dial for dollars or cold call people or network or schmooze or turn every conversation into a real estate conversation. All that kind of stuff that just comes across as needy, desperate, and creepy, right? If you've been worried about doing that, if you're worried about getting the proverbial door slammed in your face, being rejected, don't worry. That's exactly how I felt. But what we're going to be talking about today is going to turn that whole process on its ear. In fact, we're going to talk about how to get prospective investors actually reaching out to you interested in your deal. So getting emails from people, getting phone calls, getting private messages from people interested in reaching out to you, wanting you to tell them more about your deal. So we're going to go over very, very quickly, big picture overview, my 5-step money partner formula. Then what I'm going to be doing tonight, you guys, is diving a little bit deeper into the weeds when it comes to what I think the best marketing strategy is for you to attract investors, raise capital for your deals, and do it sooner rather than later. But what is the big promise of what you're going to get when you follow this process? Well, let's start with the beginning in mind. So the big promise is, I want you to imagine sitting at your kitchen table, you're having a cup of coffee, it could be a Monday morning, and you hear that familiar sound of a message coming in on your phone. A smile comes over your face, and you see it's another potential investor, and they're asking for more information about your deals, about investing with you. And the beautiful thing is, they're calling you, they're reaching out to you, they're emailing, texting, phoning you about your deals. You're not chasing after them. All right. So no dialing for dollars, no networking, schmoozing, no chasing people. These folks that are reaching out to you, they are already pre-qualified because they already know what the minimum amount is required to invest with you, and they have the capital to do it. They already have a good idea of the kind of deals that you're doing and where you're doing it, plus the time frame involved, and they have a general idea about how it all works before you even meet with them. How cool would that be? All right. And icing on the cake, which really ties the whole thing together, is you are already pre-positioned as the obvious real estate expert in their eyes. They know you, they like you, and they trust you, and all of those things are required in order for somebody to invest with you. And all of this is done with just you basically showing up and doing investor presentations, investor meetings. You don't have to do any super complicated marketing. You don't have to cold call people. You don't have to do any creepy schmoozy stuff like turning every conversation a real estate conversation. You don't have to worry about rejection because they will have reached out to you. All you're doing is showing interested people your presentation, having what I call a pleasant grown-up conversation, and seeing if they're ready to invest with you. And that smiling couple at the bottom of the screen, that's exactly what they have done. That's Jamie and Leslie Collard. They're actually in the GTA as well. They follow this process. They went, when I first started working with them, they went from 2 properties and a grand total of 3 rental units, which they had bought and self-financed. So that was a good start. And in less than 6 months, they added on 6 more properties, a total of 19 rental units. In just over a year, they have skyrocketed that up to 47 doors. And in fact, Leslie, the lady of the two, of the couple, just quit her job, and she's retired from her job thanks to the passive income and the net worth that they have created from the real estate portfolio in record time. And If you choose to, you can do the same thing. Again, with no cold calls, no schmoozing, no spamming people, none of that high pressure salesy bullshit, no manipulation of people, no pressuring people. And one of the great things I love, no rejection and no neediness on your part. Again, it's all about sitting down and having people reach out to you and then showing them your presentation. And at the end of the conversation, getting them to make a decision if they're going to move ahead or not. Okay, you guys, we're going to blast through this presentation. Reminder, if you're on the call live, great. Take notes, but don't sweat it too much. I'll show you how you can get all of the slides from the presentation as well. All right, so let's use the analogy that real estate investing is the vehicle that we've chosen to create our wealth and our income. So what does every vehicle needs? It needs a driver, and that's you. It also needs fuel, and that is money. So when it comes to the fuel for our real estate vehicle, we got a couple of choices. And most people, myself included, when we get started, we self-finance. We use our own money for our deals. And that's kind of like having a little jerry can of gas. You put it in the car, off you go, and you get started, but sooner or later, we run out of gas. All right. Now, when you crack the code on attracting investors, raising capital, it's like having your very own gas station. You can go there anytime you want, 24/7, fill her up, and off you go to the races. Now, let me tell you a little bit about my background, what qualifies me to talk to you about raising capital. So I lived overseas for quite a few years. In fact, from about 1990 to 2003, so almost 14 years, I lived, traveled around Mexico and Central America, settled down in San Jose, Costa Rica, met a certain person down there, started a business down there. I had a family down there and lived there for 10 solid years. And then in 2003, my daughter Amy was getting to be school age, and we decided, you know what, Costa Rica is great, but Canada is a better place for our kids to grow up. So we packed up, left there, and started all over again from scratch in beautiful Kamloops, British Columbia. So that was in 2003. So I was leaving a pretty good gig in Costa Rica. I had my own business down there, but I hadn't been able to sell it. So I didn't have a lot of capital. I didn't have a lot of cash. And there I was in a brand new city, Kamloops, no contacts, no job prospects because I'd been self-employed so long, I was pretty much unemployable, and a family to support. So there I was renting a crappy little townhouse in the not so great part of town. My wife at the time was not very pleased because her lifestyle took a big hit. She was used to gardeners and maids and all that fun stuff you can have in Latin America. And here we were living in a crappy townhouse in the bad part of town. It was not good. So I was trying to figure out what the heck am I going to do? So I was up late one night with insomnia, stressed out, worrying about it. And I saw one of those, remember those old American infomercials that used to come up on late night TV? Well, I watched one of those. It wasn't by this guy, it was by Ron LeGrand. It was all about doing quick turn real estate investing, how to get involved in real estate with little or no money. I said, you know what? That's perfect because that's exactly what I've got is little or no money. So I sent away for the program, crossed my fingers, hope for the best, got all the CDs and the cassette tapes and all the binders and all that fun stuff and went through it. Had to really Canadianize a lot of it because it's all the American stuff. But bottom line, I was able to put it to use, and I did 18 deals in 18 months. That was my initial claim to fame. Got very, very good at attracting motivated sellers to me. Then I took a few years off. I had the opportunity to work with a very, very large and growing seminar company, actually real estate training company that was just blowing up all across Canada. Became their director of marketing, and that was a lot of fun. And while I was doing that, I was also helping doing some training and teaching about what I knew about real estate investing, and wrote a few books with some other people. And that's when I really developed my passion for teaching and training, which is what really juices me up. I mean, seeing other people succeed sounds kind of corny, but that just really lights me up, to be perfectly frank. To seeing people actually achieving their dreams through real estate is immensely satisfying for me. Fast forward to 2010, I said, you know what? It's time for me to get back into real estate investing. So I'd found out about an interesting rent to own strategy. I know that a lot of people that at the Right Club are doing rent to own, and Alfonso's doing a great job with that, and Daniel's doing a great job with that. So I was doing rent to own real estate investing. And at that point, all of my deals before, they'd all been creative, low money, no money down deals. I didn't need any investors for that. But this strategy, I actually needed to buy houses for this strategy. So I did my first couple of houses I bought on my own because I had the capital and the credit to do it. But that was self-financing. That was that little jerry can, and I ran out of gas. And I remember the quote unquote perfect rent to own clients or tenant buyers showed up on my door, and they were just absolutely perfect. They had good incomes. They had a big chunk of money to put up as a non-refundable option fee. They were well on their way to repairing their credit and getting ready to qualify for a house, but they wanted one right away. So we went out house shopping, found them a nice house, and I crunched all the numbers. And even with paying out an investor, I had my profit dialed in at over $40,000 in a 2-year deal with this little rent-own deal. All I needed was to come up with the down payment for the property. I think it was about $85,000 for that one. So that's when I started scrambling. So, okay, I've run out of cash. I need cash for this deal. I had everything tied up. I had the property under contract. I'd received their option fee. Everything was lined up. All I needed was the down payment. So I said, well, this probably isn't just going to magically fall out of the sky, so I'll have to do something about it. So I heard, well, you know what? If you need to raise money, just pick up the phone and start dialing for dollars. And show me a little bit of love, you guys. Type in the question box if you've ever heard that advice. Just pick up the phone, start calling people. In sales, they call it dialing for dollars. Have you ever heard of that term? Have you ever heard people suggest that that's what you should do? Go ahead, type in the question box. Let me know there's some life out there in the internet land. Okay, so I started dialing for dollars. That's what I was doing. And I sucked at it. I was very uncomfortable. Picking up the phone was painfully, just painful for me. And then people on the other end, some were kind of nice and a few of them were actually kind of rude. But bottom line, I got rejected. And I actually only did 5 or 6 calls before I called it quits on cold calling, just because I couldn't handle it. All right. Next thing I'd heard, well, turn every conversation into a real estate conversation. Go out there, network, glad handle, and start talking it up. So that's what I did. I went to the local Chamber of Commerce. I was a member there, talked up a storm, nothing happened. I went to the local BNI group. I was a member of that, talked up a storm, nothing happened. I went to Toastmasters. I was part of that. Did a little thing about that there, and nothing happened. And I was really running out of time by this time. I only had like 2 weeks to remove conditions. So I got an extension, and I was really starting to sweat because I wasn't getting anywhere closer to the money. Then I came up with what I thought was a brilliant idea. Well, why don't I put together a little investor package and just, create a PDF and just email it out to a bunch of people? So that's what I did. I put together what I thought was a really good overview of the deal and a PDF and all this kind of stuff. And I came up with a list of a couple of hundred people, and I emailed it out to everybody. And I got excited because it started getting emails back, replies. And I thought, finally, something's working. That's what I thought until I started opening the emails and I saw how ticked off people were that I was just, out of the blue, basically asking them for money. Right? All I did was succeed in pissing a lot of people off. A lot of these people hadn't heard from me for years. And bottom line, the first thing that was kind of coming across their desk was, hey, it's Dave. I got a good deal. Have you got any cash? It did not go over well. Bottom line, I think you know the end of the story. I lost the deal. I had to refund the option fee to my tenant buyers. I was out about $1,500 in property inspections and different expenses and all this kind of stuff. Ticked off the seller big time, ticked off the realtor big time, ticked off the tenant buyer to no end. They stormed out, and justifiably so. They were really, really pissed and watched my profit go up in smoke. And more, even worse, I just really had egg on my face. I mean, everybody saw what a goof I'd been and how desperate, needy, and creepy I was, kind of, trying to raise money. I set myself back a long ways by trying to do it that way. And that just was proof in the pudding. That was, proof in the fact that if you self-finance, sooner or later, you're going to run out of cash or credit to do more deals. And that's when I discovered what I call the big lie in real estate investing, and that is just find a good deal and the money will find you. Well, baloney. Doesn't work that way. That's how I lost that deal. What I think is a lot smarter is to have the money lined up first and then go looking for the deals. Have your investor partners ready to go in the wings, have more money than you need, ready to go at a moment's notice, and then go find the deals, people. So if you're wondering about the chicken and the egg, this is the answer. Find the money, then go find the deals. Find the money, then go find the deals. It's like taking a trip. It's like our vehicle. You're not going to leave on your trip with an empty tank of gas, right? You're going to fill up before you go off on a long trip. So that's the exact same thing with real estate investing. You need to have the money first. So that's when I decided, you know what? I never want to go through that experience again. So I really focused in on learning and getting training and getting coaching and mentoring and taking courses and, getting help all around how to find investors and raise capital. And some of what I learned was great. Other stuff was just a rehash of the same crap I'd heard over and over again. So I really had to kind of put my own spin on things. And I decided, you know what, Dave, why don't you apply marketing to raising capital? Why don't you put your marketing hat on and kind of do some of the variation on what you've done to attract motivated property sellers, what you've done to attract clients and customers for your other businesses? Why don't you apply that to finding investors and raising capital? Why don't you figure out a way to get them to come to you instead of you always chasing after them? So it took some trial and error, that's for sure, but I did crack the code. And since then, I've raised millions of dollars for my own deals. And more importantly, I've helped other people just like you raise millions and millions and millions, tens, actually probably well over $100 million. Actually, if we count all included, it's over $300,000 to date, $300 million to date of all my clients and students and people I've worked with, the capital that they have raised for their real estate deals. So you can do the same thing. All right, so let's go through things. I'm going to share a few case studies with you just to prove that this is real stuff. It's not an anomaly. Real people can make this happen. For example, my student, Rick Wheeler. Rick, a very sharp guy, but not a sharp real estate investor when he started. When I met him, he had one property that he'd self-financed, and he was negative $200 a month cash flow. So Rick got educated about real estate investing, and more importantly, about attracting investors and raising capital. And Rick focuses on single family homes with basement suites in them. So he kind of does a variation of the BRRRR strategy, and he focuses primarily in Edmonton. The last time I talked to him, he had 19 of these deals on the go, and each one of these properties, after everything was said and done, including paying his investor partners, each one of these 19 properties was spitting out $900 a month in profit to Rick. All right, I'm not talking about net operating income. I'm not talking about cash flow. I'm talking about profit at the end of the month in Rick's pocket. So you do the numbers, 19 properties, $900 a month going to Rick, all in each one of those properties purchased with an investor partner. So Rick went from being stressed out and overworked to being very, very happy, a part-time, real estate's a full-time thing, but it's definitely a part-time effort, and gives him lots of time with his family, and they love traveling. Europe is one of their favorite places to go. All right. So really it is, it's up to us. It's up to you. You want to self-finance your deals and grow very, very slowly, if at all. Wait 5, 6, 7 years to save up enough cash for a down payment for your next property, or you want to do more deals or bigger deals by using other people's money. So that's exactly what I've done. So I've switched focuses. So my initial focus was creative deals, and I was doing rent-to-own deals. More recently, I've gotten into multifamily properties. And a few years ago, applied the same strategy once I kind of dialed it in and got it all figured out, and very, very quickly and easily raised $800,000 with 5 investor partners. We bought this lovely 54-unit apartment building complex outside of Ottawa. And at the time, our 5-year projections were on this deal, total cash flow over the 5 years, $355,000, mortgage pay down over $485,000, appreciation at 4% over $1 million, total profits anticipated on this deal, $1.8 million. Here's the good news. The good news is the appreciation was very conservative. The appreciation is actually closer to $1.5 million on that property. Now, I'm not saying this to brag, but I am saying this to illustrate the point that the more deals you do, or the bigger deals you do, the more cash flow, the more profits, the more jingle is going to be left over in your jeans. Does that make sense? So a lot of people get kind of stuck up on the fact, well, if I work with investor partners, I'm going to have to share the profits. Yes, but you're going to be able to do so many more deals than you could do on your own. What would you rather have? Would you rather have a tiny slice of the pie, or would you rather have half the whole darn pie and half of as many pies as you want, right? That's what you get when you work with investor partners. That worked so well that about a year later, we were looking at building a brand new apartment building complex, and we raised, following the same structure, $2.1 million for a brand new construction deal. All right. So it's all about attracting investors and raising capital. Now, you guys, I'm going to give you as much training as I can here today, but what I'm going to invite you to is to come out to a 2-day boot camp. I'm doing all about this in Toronto on June 15th and 16th. So I'm flying out from BC, coming to visit you folks in Toronto, and we're going to spend 2 solid days, not just learning about this, but this is what I call my massive implementation boot camp, where we actually do this stuff. So I'm going to give you the big overview here today. I'm going to give you some tips about my favorite marketing strategy. And then at the boot camp, we're going to dive in deep and not just learn about it, but actually get it done right there and then. This is completely different from anything that you've ever done before as far as training goes. All right, let's dive in. So the money partner formula, 5 steps, simple steps. And we'll go over each one of these in depth. All right. Step number 1 is all about creating a target group of prospective investors and reconnecting with them. All right. Step number 2, once we've done that, we need to have a presentation put together. So when people put up their hands, we can show them something, and we can do it in a good, consistent manner that's going to get us consistently great results. All right. So that's all about having a good investor presentation. So when you have your meetings, you're not screwing things up. All right. Step number 3, this is what we're going to get into deep today. Communicating constantly, consistently. In other words, marketing. It's not enough to kind of break the ice with people. It's not enough to have a good presentation. You need to stay top of mind with people so that when they think about something, when they think about real estate investing, or when they get a communication from you, it kind of sparks that interest. They put up their hand, they reach out to you, and they request more information. It's all about that constant, consistent communication, the marketing. Step number 4, being seen as a credible real estate expert. Now, I might be saying, Dave, well, I don't have that many deals under my belt. I've only done 1 or 2 deals. Well, guess what? That's 1 or 2 deals more than 95% of the Canadian population. Only 5% of Canadians have ever bought an investment property. I'm not talking about their personal residence. That doesn't count. Only 5% of Canadians have bought an investment property. If you've even got 1 investment property under your belt, you're ahead of 95% of the people that you know outside of the real estate clubs, right? Okay, but people need to know you, like you, and trust you before they're going to invest with you. So step number 4 is all about creating that trust factor. And then step number 5, this is easy. This is creating the snowball effect with testimonials and then getting referrals to other potential investors. All right, so let's dive in, you guys. Let's dive into step number 1. Again, encourage you to take notes, but also remember you can get all of these slides, and I'll tell you how at the end of the call. Our goal, our big picture goal, and I want you to have this really firmly in mind, is we want to be sitting down with somebody, showing them our deal. This can be live, face-to-face, in person. This can be online via Zoom or Skype. But bottom line is we're having a meeting with somebody and we're showing them our deal and we're seeing if they want to get involved or not. That's the whole focus. Does that make sense, folks? That's the whole focus of this whole thing. So the first step of our 5-step process is to come up with a target group of prospective investors who we can focus on, who we can reach out to, who we can communicate with. All right. So who should we have in that target group? Well, big mistake I see newbies making is thinking that the whole world is their oyster. And I hate to say it to you, but it ain't. The whole world is not your oyster because A, the whole world does not know you. So trying to convince a stranger to invest 100 grand with you is a very, very uphill battle. Next reason is that it's, unless you do it right, it's risky. You're crossing the line with your not so friendly Securities Commission, and Ontario has a particularly nasty Securities Commission. So don't mess with those guys, because those are the folks that can actually fine you and or put you in jail. So we don't want to do that. So they got some rules and regulations. Look it up. I do not claim to be a lawyer, an accountant, or a securities specialist. There's my little cover my butt disclaimer there. But here's my understanding, right? The Securities Commission says, you know what? We need to protect Joe Public from sleazy, con artisty type people, because Joe Public's too dumb to know what to do with their own money unless they invest it with experts like the big banks and mutual fund companies, etc. You can tell I'm being a little facetious there, but that's basically the idea. So they say in order for us to raise capital from Joe Public, we need to be either licensed as a licensed broker, like a stockbroker or a financial planner or somebody like that, someone who typically works for a large company or corporation or bank. Those guys are allowed to raise capital from Joe Public, no problem. Or a way we can get around this is if we do what's called an offering memorandum. And that sounds great until you start looking into it, and then you realize it costs tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to get one of these suckers put together, plus an amazing amount of headache and legal red tape to jump through. So that's a big hassle. And for most of us, for the size of deals we're doing, it's just not worthwhile. All right, so that's why we do not want to go after Joe Public. First of all, it's very hard to crack into that. Second, even though there's billions of them out there. And second of all, it's a quick way to get into big trouble with the Securities Commission. So where does that leave us? Well, another choice is we can go after accredited investors. Again, a little bit different in every province, but bottom line, it's something like this. Individuals who have at least $1 million in financial assets, that can be cash or securities, before taxes. All right. Individuals whose net income before taxes exceeds 200 grand or 300 grand if it's combined income with a spouse, and or people who have at least $5 million in net assets. And I believe that's excluding their house. All right. So in other words, rich folks. That's what the picture is supposed to indicate there. It might not look exactly like that, but you get the idea. So those are great. I mean, if you know a lot of accredited investors, go for it. Go to town. But here's the challenge. Most of us don't know that many accredited investors because they're the top 0.5% of the population, financially speaking. The other challenge is everybody's going after these folks. They tend to be quite astute when it comes to investments, and there's a lot of competition for their money. So it's a hard nut to crack. So you're probably saying, well, Dave, well, what the heck? What does that leave us? Well, good news. That leaves us a window here that we can work in. And this is what we're going to be talking about here tonight, is our sphere of influence, people who we have a pre-existing relationship with, because this is an exception. The Securities Commission says, yes, you can raise funds, you can raise capital from your friends and your family members and close business associates. What's a little bit gray is their definition of close business associates and close friends, all right? But this is the area that we can work in order to avoid getting in crap with the Securities Commission. So bottom line, what I want you to focus on when you're coming up with your list is people that you have that pre-existing relationship with. They know you, you know them. Bare minimum criteria would be if you bumped into each other on the street, they'd recognize you, you'd recognize them, you could have a nice conversation. That's what it'd be like, okay? Now, when I explain this at live events, invariably, a few people are giving me this kind of look. Maybe not this dramatically, but this is the idea. It's like, well, Dave, sounds good, but I don't want to mix business and pleasure and friendship and family, be a borrower nor a lender be, or whatever the saying is. And I don't want to, talk to my friends or my family about real estate investing. They think it's too risky, or what happens if something goes wrong with the deal and they lose money. I couldn't live with myself. Okay, so a lot of people have those hangups, and I want to give you a big shift here. I want to help you shift your thinking around this, and let's see a little bit of activity in the question box, you guys, if you agree with this. So I firmly believe. So again, you guys type in the question box if you agree with what I'm about to say. I firmly believe that real estate investing done the right way is the best manner for everyday Canadians like yourself and myself to make an above average return on our money backed by a solid asset, and that's real property, and it's an asset that we have control over, okay? Unlike stocks, bonds, mutual funds, pretty much everything else. So I do firmly believe that real estate investing is the best way for everyday Canadians to get ahead financially, not just with cash flow, but with net worth. Let me know in the question box if you agree with that. And if you don't agree with that, you're definitely in the wrong place, right? But let me know if you agree with that. Ian says he agrees. Sarah says she agrees. Just you two. That's it. Nobody else agrees. Come on, you guys. This is a two-way street. Show me a little love. Shane says agrees, tangible asset. Chris says, I agree. Elisa says, absolutely. Thank you, Elisa. A little enthusiasm there. That's great. 100%. Thanks, you guys. It's kind of a lonely thing here at the other end of the microphone, not seeing all of you, but that's great. Okay, now, so with that in mind, let's shift our thinking about this. So I think the biggest problem most of us have with the idea of approaching friends and family and coworkers, et cetera, that we know, is we think we're going to come across as salesy, or we think we're going to have to pressure people into doing stuff. No, nothing could be further from the truth. I think it's our patriotic duty to educate people about our opportunities. Notice the word educate. Educate, educate, educate. I'm not saying pressure. I'm not saying manipulate. I'm not saying strong arm or cajole them or, guilt them into doing anything. Nothing like that. Show them what we got. Show them the pros, show them the cons, show them the risks, show them the rewards, and allow them to make their own educated decision. Again, why? Because the average person's investment choices are pitiful. They suck, right? They can put their money under the mattress or in a savings account, probably about the same result. They can invest in the stocks or bonds or mutual funds, up, down, all over the place, right? The average Canadian isn't even keeping up with inflation with their investment choices. We know, if you've got, let me know in the chat box, have you ever done a real estate deal that has made you good money? Not even home run money, but let's say, have you ever done a real estate deal that has made you, by the time you look at all the different profit centers, has made you greater than 10% return per year on your money? And you better be, if you've done any deals, you better be saying yes, all right? Because it's very, very easy to do. So I want to share an example here. This is John Simcoe. John is my Rockstar student. John has raised way more money than I have. In fact, last time I talked to him, I think his total was over $30 million he's raised to date. Smart young punk. But again, he didn't start that way. He started out self-financing his first few deals, putzed around for years till he cracked the code on attracting investors, raising capital. Then he very, very quickly was able to build up his portfolio, quit the job, and he had a really good high-paying job. He quit that to become a full-time real estate entrepreneur. So about a year and a half ago, actually, this is probably 2 years ago now, I was having a quick chat with John on Zoom. I just asked him a little bit about his most successful experience working with investors to that point. So I think you'll find this inspirational. So have a little listen to who he likes to work with and what he's been able to do for one of his investment partners. And you guys, caveat here, the sound quality is going to suck. The video is going to be jerky, and that's because we're playing it over Zoom, and that's just the way it is. But focus on the message, all right, not the media.
It was a big light bulb aha moment when I learned that I could partner with other people. So that idea was totally new to me before I had met you, Dave. And now it's something that I do very regularly. I actually prefer working with friends and family because I like working hard knowing that they're making a good return, and I like being able to help out my sphere a little more directly like that. So I really like growing my friends' money and helping them do something that they can't on their own. I get very happy investors, Dave. I've got one client in particular where I'll be sending them enough money every month that they can actually be retired off the passive income that they get. And so that just makes me feel really good, because that's one of the things that I got into this to do, was so that I could do that for myself. Now I have the power to be able to do that for other people.
I love that example, you guys. So who does he like to have work with him? He loves to have friends and family members work with him because he's able to help them do something they can't do on their own. And that's the same for you. When you bring investor partners on board, you're helping them to do something they cannot or will not do on their own. And that's invest in good, solid, real property. Okay. What has he been able to accomplish for one of his investor partners? He's helped them to actually retire. Now, you might not be doing that much, but can you imagine how good it would feel if you were able to help a friend, a good friend, or a family member, or somebody that you know pretty well to get out of debt faster, perhaps to be able to afford a vacation every year that they cannot take right now, or perhaps be able to afford a nicer vehicle than what they have right now, thanks to investing with you, or perhaps be able to afford to upgrade their house that they're living in now, thanks to investing with you, or perhaps be able to get out of their JOB and retire a few years earlier than they would be able to do on their own, thanks to their investment with you. How awesome would that feel? All of us get into real estate investing in the first place, thinking about what's in it for me, what's in it for my family. But when you open the doors to working with investor partners, you're sharing the wealth. You're helping them to get ahead doing something they cannot or will not be able to do on their own. Let me know in the question box. Let's do this right now, you folks. Let me know in the question box if that would feel awesome to you. Think about your best friend. Think about somebody like that. How would it feel to help them accomplish something they cannot do on their own? Would that feel cool? Very rewarding, says Chris. Yes, win-win, says Arturo. Exactly. It would feel awesome, says Kelly. You're right, it would feel awesome. It feels absolutely awesome. In fact, this is the kind of reaction you get from your investor partners when you're doing a good job with them, right? And this is Rena. She's one of our investors in that 54-unit apartment building. That was her with one of her cash flow checks. Is she a happy camper? Yes, she is. And just like Arturo said, it's all about creating win-win scenarios. You're helping to grow, they're helping you to grow your portfolio. You're helping them to get an above average return on their money backed by a solid asset that's not going anywhere. And that's a piece of real property. Okay, you guys? All right, Heather, absolutely wonderful. You are right. Yes, it would feel awesome. Okay, so let's get into the weeds here, you guys. First job is to come up with a target group of prospective investors, people that we have that pre-existing relationship with. They know us, we know them. Write this down, 200. Write that in a circle, the middle of the circle. That's our target. My goal for you is to have 200 people to start with that we're going to be communicating with as our target market of prospective investors. Friends, family members, coworkers, etc. Don't freak out if you think you don't know that many people. Chances are you do know quite a few. So where do we get these people? Well, your cell phone probably has a lot more contacts in it than you think it does. So get all your contacts from your cell phone, from your email addresses, from your social media sources, get them there. Old address books or a bunch of business cards you have lying around. Wherever all your contacts are, get them all into one place and then sift, sort, and filter it down to the 200 people that you actually have some connection with, okay? And that's a so much easier way to do it than to try and come up with 200 people, okay? Now, let's fast forward. Let's pretend you've got your group, your contact, your target group of 200 people. We're going to start with hopefully names and email addresses. We get that all up in an email autoresponder system. Now, what we want to do is we want to avoid making the dumbass mistake Dave Dubeau made back in the day, is we don't want to start spamming people. We do not want to start spamming people. So here's what we want to do instead. We want to reconnect with people on a personal level first before we start talking business. Reconnect with people on a personal level first before we start talking business. And what I suggest here is that you do a few different emails out to these folks over about a week to 10 days. So usually what we do with our clients is first email goes out, and it's kind of like an old-fashioned Christmas letter you used to get back in the day, catching them up on what you and your family have been doing for the last 3, 4, 5 years, okay? Just a normal email, sending it out, not too long. You know, if you were to print it out, it'd probably be about a page long, talking a little bit about what you and the family are up to, if you've got kids or spouses or whatever, what they're up to, if you've moved, if you're in a new house, new job, that sort of thing, a little bit about the pastimes, travel, etc., that kind of stuff. Just as if you bumped into somebody in Starbucks lineup And they said, hey, what have you been up to? And you had a very lopsided, one-sided conversation. Okay. Next thing is 3 or 4 days after that, we send out another message. This time it's a video message, basically going over the same thing, but instead of it just being a cold text, written email, it's a nice, warm, friendly video message from you, catching people up on what you've been up to. Video just works, people. Trust me, I'll get into this more in depth a little later on in the presentation. But bear with me if you're freaking out about the idea of a video, don't freak out. So that's the first, let's say week. About 3 or 4 days after that second video, we send what I call the transition message. And this one is basically just to give people heads up that you're going to start doing a better job of staying in touch with them. And you're going to be talking a little bit more about business, right? You're going to be talking about what you're up to with real estate investing. Real estate is something you're excited about, you're passionate about. You think it's the best way for everyday people like you and like them to make an above average return on their money, backed by a solid asset. And then hint, hint, nudge, nudge, maybe sometime in the future, you might even want to partner up with me and share in some of the profits from a deal, okay? And we also give them a choice to opt out if they'd rather not hear about it. And don't worry about it, most people will stay on your list. Typically when we do this, we only get less than 6% opting out. Now it's not designed for this, but it happens about half the time is that once you've done that series of 3 emails, you'll actually get people reaching out to you wanting to talk about real estate. And we've actually had clients and students do this and start raising capital right off the get-go. So here's an example. This is Rita. She couldn't believe her response. Easily answered 50 of them so far, all very genuine. I could not believe the response. And then I'm going to share a quick little video here with Sabrina, who just went through this process very, very recently. And I just love her enthusiasm. So trust in the process, people. It works. Have a quick listen.
What's new? A lot of people want to invest now. And I have all these meetings and I have all these appointments and phone calls. And I'm like, where do I put their money? Yeah.
Well, that's a nice problem to have. How come all of this interest has been generated? So
it's just because of the warm-up campaign, like taking the time to simply reconnect.
It works magic, you guys. So don't skip this step. Make sure you do this step. Very, very important. All right, speaking of steps, let's go to step number 2, talking about your presentation. So this is, now that we've got our group, our target group of prospective investors, now that we've broken the ice with them, it's important, especially we start getting some of them to reach out to us, that we have a good presentation to show them. So I'm going to suggest that you use a slideshow presentation. So kind of like what you're seeing right now on your screen, this is a slideshow presentation, but creating a slideshow for your real estate investing. And this just works so well because it really keeps you on track. It's more visually interesting for the other person. And for me, the biggest thing is it makes sure that I don't forget any of the important points, right? So when you're following a well-structured, well put together presentation, slideshow presentation, it definitely keeps you dialed right in. And it helps, and it's a system, it's a mini system, right? It's a process. So you do the process, it's like a recipe. If you follow the recipe, you're going to get good results. If you deviate from the recipe, probably not. All right. So some people say, well, you should just be able to jot down the details on the back of a napkin. Bullshit. Very, very few people can do that well or consistently. Having this is like having your own little mini system. So highly recommend you create a slideshow presentation for your prospective investors. Take your little laptop with you, take your tablet with you, sit down with people and take them through that slideshow. It just works so much better. Here's an example. This is Bruno. Bruno said his very first presentation using the slideshow, did what you recommended. It was my first presentation, a little more informal. By the end, he was really happy and excited. He's going to invest $200,000. Definitely works. Karen and Leona McKnight, same thing. They actually did the warm-up sequence, that warm-up process I just talked about. They had the presentation. A lady reached out to them, sat down with her, and raised $80,000 right off the get-go. Another case study here, what's possible when you crack the code on attracting investors, raising capital. My good friend, Sam Perrin, he's actually here in Kamloops. Sam was a cop, one of those kids that always wanted to be a cop when he grew up, and he became one, then realized it wasn't that much fun, not as much fun as it looks like on TV. He and his wife adopted 3 little kids, and he said, you know what? I don't want to be a cop anymore. I want to spend more time with my kids. He already had a few properties under his belt. He had 3 or 4 properties. That's when he really dialed it in. He said, I really want to crack the code on working with investors, other people's money, and growing my portfolio. Less than a year, he grew his portfolio to over 18 doors, quit the police force, walked away from those, excuse the pun, golden handcuffs, and became a full-time dad and a very, very happy real estate investor. And he's just actually working on, he's just exploded, working on multifamily property deals now. He's doing a big development deal outside of Oliver, British Columbia right now. He is just rocking it with real estate, all thanks to understanding how to attract investors, raise capital. Okay, zipping along here, folks. Again, I told you it was going to be fast. Step number 3, all about the marketing. So here's where we're going to dive into the weeds a bit more deeply here. And a mistake I see people making sometimes is they get off to a good start, but then they really drop the ball when it comes to this ongoing, constant, consistent communication, right? So maybe even they start off with a bang with their target group of prospective investors. Maybe they even do the warm-up thing. Maybe they start the ball rolling there. Maybe they even got their presentation together, but then they don't do anything else. And so they're kind of like a flash in the pan. You want to make sure that you are constantly top of mind with your prospective investors. Because, I mean, think about it. How many times, I'm not going to call anybody out because I've been guilty of this myself, but how many times have you seen somebody get excited about some quote unquote business opportunity and they're all in and they're all over social media, hey, check out my new business opportunity. Let's have a chat. They invite you out to a home meeting at their home, do the Amway ambush thing, no offense against Amway, but you know what I'm talking about, right? We see people all the time. And 99% of the time they fizzle out within a couple of weeks, right? We don't hear, it's crickets after that. They get started with a big bang and then poof, dead in the water. Same with insurance agents, they're taught to go after everybody. Same with financial planners, same idea, right? And how many times do they get off to a good start, but then it's just crickets after that? So we don't want that, because I mean, think about it. From the perspective of somebody who's going to invest 100 grand or more with you, what are they looking for? Well, they want to make sure that you're serious. They want to make sure that there's going to be some longevity in what you're doing, right? So by doing marketing, constant, consistent communication, it shows that you're serious. And so it shows that you're professional. It shows that you're reliable. All of those are great qualities in an investor and partner. So what are you going to do? There's all sorts of different ways to get the word out, online and offline. We're going to dive into my favorite way here in a second. But bottom line is, my goal for you is to avoid cold calling at all costs. Avoid cold calling at all costs. Let's attract people to us instead of pushing ourselves on them. Let's attract them, get them to, figuratively put up their hand and say, you know what, I'm interested. Tell me more about your deal. So that's exactly one of my favorite case studies, what Ron Geddert has done. Ron, I first met Ron when he was just about 60 years old. He lifted up his head after having a head down, bum up, just working his butt off for 30 years, raising a family, the whole bit, self-employed as a contractor, raised his head to look towards retirement, realized he hadn't put anything aside. And he panicked, right? He was only like 5 years away from it. So to his credit, he got educated about real estate investing. He'd never done a deal before in his life. He built lots of houses, but never owned a revenue property, just like 95% of the rest of the population. Got educated about it, and very, very quickly got into it. And within a few years, he replaced his work income, became a full-time real estate entrepreneur, and got out of the rat race and doesn't have to worry about his retirement anymore, right? One of his favorite things to do is he likes to write. So he does monthly electronic newsletters and hard copy newsletters as well. So that's one option you look at. We're going to look at something different, but the bottom line is we need to do marketing. And marketing are what I call the 3 C's: constant, consistent, communication. Constant, consistent communication. And we want to use educational and entertaining marketing versus salesy type marketing. So selling marketing is, there's pressure, buy now, do all this kind of stuff. There's massive rejection. It's poor positioning because people just kind of have a negative association about being sold to. If you're trying to hard sell friends and family, it's going to affect those relationships negatively. And it doesn't help you make any friends either. Bottom line, most people aren't good at selling. So also, if you do it that way, it's hard to get referrals. And if you pressure somebody or you manipulate somebody into investing with you, at the first sign of something going wrong with the deal, they're going to be all over you, right? So it's just a real pain. In other words, don't be the sham wow guy. Don't be the sham wow guy. Instead, let's focus on educational and entertaining type marketing. And what can that be? Well, that's, it's much easier to get meetings and appointments because they're going to reach out and request them from you. We're going to get access to higher quality people. We're going to be seen as a credible expert and authority. Makes us and our opportunities look a lot better. Helps us to overcome objections before they even think of them, and takes all the pressure off of them and off of us. Bottom line, it's much more enjoyable. And I think it actually works a lot better in the long term. So it's all about having a relaxed, friendly conversation, showing them what you got with your slideshow presentation, and seeing if they're in or out. Okay. So what are some different ways we can do marketing and keep in constant, consistent communication? Well, good news and bad news. Good news is there's a gazillion different marketing tactics out there, right? Emails, e-zines, blog posts, letters, newsletters, webinars, live presentations, lunch and learns, publishing articles, doing interviews, doing content marketing, right? Books, writing a book, doing brochures, business cards, you name it. There's a ton of different ways. So that's the good news. Bad news is there's a ton of different ways, right? There's so much out there. It can really be one of those things like where you go to a restaurant and it's got that menu with a gazillion things on it. You can never pick what to do. It's kind of like that. There's too many choices. So I'm going to help you shortcut this whole process. And I'm going to show you what I think is the best choice, at least the best thing to get started with. All right. And this is, I'm embarrassed to say it, but I used to tell people, you know what, if you really want to do this right, you need to do a whole bunch of different stuff all at the same time. So you should be doing this. And then I was wondering, well, why aren't people doing it? Well, it was overwhelming. There's too much stuff to do. So now learn the hard way. And really, this works better. Start with one thing, right? There's a book written there called The One Thing. Start with one thing, focus on that. One thing that you like doing too, right? Focus on one thing. And then once you got that up and rolling, then you could add more stuff if you want to. But get that one thing up and running first, right? Something that you're going to be able to do constantly and consistently. So my suggestion is video logs. Video logs are fantastic. This is a short 2 to 3 minute little video that you do. You can film it at your home. Geez, that's not a very good picture of me at the bottom there, but whatever. Film it from a vacation, film it, whatever, right? You can film it on your phone. I'll get into a little bit of detail about this, but it's just a short little video update where you're teaching them or sharing a little bit of a nugget about what you're up to with real estate investing. Okay. So a quick overview. What are we going to do here? We're going to take a look at what is a vlog, why it works so well, what to talk about, how to film them, where to put them, and how to get the word out. So what is a vlog? It's basically a video blog. It's something you put up online. It's a short, informational, educational, and hopefully slightly entertaining little snippet that you put up ideally on your website, and you push people to watch that, and you have a call to action at the end of it so they reach out and book a call with you. Now you might be thinking, well, Dave, why video? Why do I have to do video? Well, you don't have to do anything, right? It's all about whether you want to get results or not. And bottom line is the whole market online, everybody online, the preference is video. People would far rather watch a video than read something. The majority of people. You might be different, but again, remember, it's not about what your preference is, what you prefer to watch or read. It's about what the majority of people prefer. So a majority of people would rather watch a movie or watch TV rather than read the book. We just know that, okay? Kind of breaks my heart because I'm a reader myself, but it is what it is. And video is the next best thing to sitting with somebody face to face. It's the closest thing we have to that personal interaction. With a video, you engage far more of their senses. They can see you, they can see your facial expressions, they can see your how you motion, etc. They can hear you, right? And you just have a much more complete sensory experience, right? They can read between the lines. I don't know if it's easier to communicate too. I don't know if you've ever sent somebody a text that has been misunderstood. Happens to me on a regular basis. But when you say it through video, it's much easier to read the non-verbal language. So it just really, really works. So, why not start with what works? And when I show you, when you learn how to do it, it really is the easiest thing you can do as well. And I've heard every excuse in the word in the book. Well, Dave, you know what? I don't want to do video because, I've got a face made for radio, or I don't like the sound of my voice, or some of these people haven't seen me for a few years, and I'm older, fatter, balder, wrinklier, whatever than I was last time. It doesn't matter, you guys. Time marches on for everybody. And again, we're not sending this stuff out to the, it's not like your videos are going to go viral or anything like that. This is just your way of communicating with the people in your target market, people that you already have a pre-existing relationship with. They already know you. All right. So let's get into some of the details. Let's talk a little bit about filming your video logs. So always remember the KISS formula, K-I-S-S. Remember the KISS formula. No, I'm not talking about that KISS. I'm talking about the keep it simple KISS. Keep it short, keep it simple. That's what it's all about. So your video logs, write this down. 3, maybe 4 minutes max. That's as long as we want them to be. Sweet spot is right around 3 minutes. Okay. Good news. You don't need any special equipment. So please don't think you need to run out and buy expensive cameras, expensive lighting systems, backdrops, green screens, none of that crap. You don't need anything. You don't need anything that you don't already have. In fact, you're probably watching this on your computer or a tablet or a smartphone, but right now, that's all you need. Anything that's got a camera that can take video. That's all you need, right? Where to film? Don't worry about having to go to a studio or looking super professional. In fact, that works against you. What works best is filming in your home environment, your office environment, kind of a casual type of an environment. So just, make sure it's reasonably tidy, but just film where you're at, okay? So let's say you film them. What are you going to do with them? Well, the next thing you want to do is get them up, just put them up on YouTube. That's where you're going to store your videos. I suggest you don't push people to YouTube to watch your videos, and instead put them up on YouTube, but then have the YouTube video show up on your website. That works really, really well, right? So when you got a website, that becomes your marketing hub. Everything comes from it. Everything comes to it. It's where you control the conversation, right? And then, so let's say you've got your video log up on the website. Next thing you want to do is send out a notification to let people know that you got a new video up. So the easiest way to do this is with an email. Send them a short little email, pique their curiosity, have an interesting subject line. Works really well if you put the image of your video in the email. Do not try to attach the video to the email. No, just embed the image of the video so they click on the image, takes them to your website where they can watch the video. Does that make sense, guys? All right. So that is the whole gist of the whole thing. Some tips for you for video logs. Do them in batches. So as far as frequency goes, if I could wave the magic wand, once a week is fantastic. Once every 2 weeks is pretty good. Once a month is the minimum. Okay. Keep them short. About 3 minutes each is good. Don't worry about coming across as a professional. Don't worry about being super slick. It's better if you're not, right? So good is good enough. You don't have to be perfect. In fact, it's better if you're human, right? Because nobody likes to see this kind of, because they know you as a person. They don't know you as a professional actor. Chances are you're not a professional actor. So just be yourself. Big tip here, just focus on one idea per video log. Don't try to explain the 7 or 8 different profit centers of real estate investing all in one video. Instead, do 8 different videos, each one on a different profit center. Does that make sense, you guys? Have an intro with your video logs. So something like, an intro would be something like, hey, this is Dave Dubeau. One of the questions I get asked quite often is, why do I invest in real estate instead of putting my money in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, or anything else? And here's one of the reasons, blah, 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 blah. Then I talk about, let's say I'm talking about a profit center. Always have a call to action at the end of your video logs. Very important. A big mistake I see people making is they do this and they just send it out and they wonder why nobody's calling them because you haven't asked them to. So at the end of your video log, you'd say something like, Well, that's just one of the profit centers in real estate. There's actually 7 other profit centers as well. And the strategy I'm focusing on, we can take advantage, my investor partners and I get to take advantage of all 8 profit centers. So if you're interested in that, give me a call at 250-374-2897. We'll have a chat and see if it makes sense for you. Bang, there's the call to action. People are always asking me, well, Dave, how do you get people calling you about your deals? I tell them to. Okay, and again, put your video logs up on your website. That's the whole thing. So there we go. We got our list. We've reconnected with them. We've got our website up. Now we're doing some marketing, and in this case, video logs. And that is what's going to really turn on the faucet and start creating this inbound flow of investor leads. This is what's going to start filling up your calendar with appointments with prospective investors, right? That's what it's all about. It's all about sitting down with somebody either face-to-face or online. Doesn't matter. They can be halfway around the world. You can still meet with them via Zoom or Skype, right? So you can do this online just as easily as in person, right? It's having that, nice flow of investor meetings where you're showing people about your deals. And you know what? If they say yes, great. If they say no, that's okay too, because you've got another person you're going to be meeting with next week. So if one doesn't, another one will. Does that make sense, you guys? You're not dependent. You're not needy. You're not desperate. You're not creepy, because it doesn't matter if one person does and one person doesn't. This really is the combination of the vault, folks. All right. So we're going to wrap things up here pretty quick, you guys. So be prepared. If you have any questions, you can type them in the question box. In the meantime, I just want to take a minute and remind you that if you want to dive in really deep into this and actually create 6 months worth of marketing and get it all done and ready to go in just 2 days, that's exactly what we're going to be doing June 15th and 16th. Then step number 4 of the whole process is being seen as a credible authority. Lots of different ways to be doing this, but some simple ways to get started are, first of all, is to dress the part, right? So I reminded you earlier, 95% of Canadians have never bought a single investment property. So you're going to be, if you even got one deal under your belt, you're going to be an expert next to that person. But you need to look the part of an expert. So I always recommend that people dress business casual when you're going to have an investor meeting, even if that meeting is with an old friend that you used to go bowling with, even if that meeting's with your Aunt Matilda, who used to change your diapers and has seen you buck naked. Doesn't matter. Dress professionally when you're talking with people about their money. It's going to give you more respect, and it's going to show them respect as well. Speak knowledgeably about your strategy and the market you're investing in. So you need to be able to explain concisely what it's all about and why you're investing in that market and why that's such a great real estate market. Have good looking materials, so especially your investor presentation. Make sure that that slideshow looks good. And a good looking website goes a long way to creating credibility as well. Okay. Step number 5, once you've got this going, once you've got an investor or 2 under your belt, it's so much easier to get more of them by getting good, effective testimonials and asking for referrals the right way. Okay, you guys, let's do a quick review of all this, see how it can work for you. Then I'll show you what the event is that I'm putting on in Toronto and see if that makes sense for you as well. So how this works for you. So a quick reminder, real estate is the vehicle we've chosen to create our ideal income, our ideal net worth, and bottom line, whatever that ideal lifestyle is that you've been dreaming about. Real estate is the vehicle that we're using to get there. Every vehicle needs fuel. The fuel we need for our real estate vehicle is capital. And we're going to be using other people's money to grow our portfolio, because that's like having a sports car. It gets us where we want to go so much faster and in much more style. All right. Another quick case study. Todd Mollahan, Warsaw, Ontario. Love Todd's story. So Todd was like many people. He got off to a good start with real estate investing. He got 3 properties under his belt. I think he self-financed all 3 of them. Excuse me, just having a sip of tea there. Self-financed his first 3 deals. Then life got in the way. He ran out of capital. He got married. He started a family, changed jobs, whatever. Bottom line, 7 years went by with him putzing around with 3 properties. Todd came out. Todd got educated. He got inspired. He got motivated to attract investors, raise capital. He was able to raise over $330,000, buy a couple of properties with 18 more units in them, all in 6 months, all from attracting investors, raising capital. Fast forward, that was about 3 years ago. Fast forward to today, he's at over 72 doors, quit the job, full-time real estate entrepreneur, loving every minute of it. All of his deals done with investor partners. You can do the same thing if you put in the same effort. I can't remember the exact quote, but it's, he or she who's willing to do the work that other people won't do today can enjoy the lifestyle other people can enjoy it, and they can enjoy it for the rest of their lives. I completely screwed that up, but that's the idea. You get the gist. All right, so again, just a quick reminder, what's the promise that you're going to be able to accomplish once you apply what you're learning? You're going to be able to enjoy a consistent flow of inbound investor inquiries. So again, imagine sitting at your kitchen table, you're having a cup of coffee, you get a text message, you get an email, you get a private message, you get a phone call from somebody asking for more information about your deals. They're calling you. You're not chasing after them. They've already got a good idea of how much money's required, and they're able to do that. They know what kind of real estate deals you're doing and the market that you're doing them in, and they think it makes sense for them. And most importantly, you're already positioned as the obvious expert. You're the real estate entrepreneur. You're the real estate authority in their eyes. That's what it's all about. Just like Jamie and Leslie Collard. So these guys called me up. This was about a month ago. They were so excited. They couldn't wait to tell me what they've been up to. We worked together a little over a year ago, and they just wanted to give me a quick update.
Well, look at you guys. Hats off to you. When we first met, you had 2 properties and 3 doors. And now look at you, a year and a bit later. That's fantastic.
I'm retiring next week too.
Retiring by choice.
Yeah.
From a day job.
Yeah. My manager's still in denial about it. Pretty good position right now, aren't we?
You're in an excellent position.
Yeah, like we actually were. I honestly wasn't 100% confident when we started to work with you about finding money and whether Jamie and I would be able to do it. But now, like, people are throwing money at us, and it's like, and not just a little bit of money, right? Like, we have one family member who's invested like $75,000 with us.
How much?
$275,000.
Wow.
I have another one who she's selling her house the end of April, so she's like, well, I'm going to give you $100,000. We have another one who's refinancing their house because they want to give us money. We have other investors that are like coming to us and saying, I don't have a lot of cash on hand, but how can we use our RSPs? Well, and if you ever are around here and you have speaking engagements and you want a couple faces to show up and say, hey, it works, let us know. We'll come and vouch for you.
Wow, I appreciate that very much.
I love that example, you guys. That's what's possible when you really focus on this stuff. It really does work. So it's up to you. You can keep self-financing and grow your portfolio very, very slowly, or you can kick it up by using other people's money, attracting investors and raising capital, because bottom line, there's all the money you need to do all the deals you want out there and available for you. Like Robert Kiyosaki says, author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, I added in, or she, who raises the most money wins. And that is so true, you guys. So if you're really serious about this, I've got an opportunity for you to come out and actually put it into play, because you've learned a little bit here today, but if you don't do anything with it, it's actually worse than not knowing in the first place, because now you know what you didn't know before. It's kind of like if you remember learning how to drive. Chances are your parents didn't give you a book and the keys to the car and say, go for it. Chances are they got in the car and helped you hands-on learn how to drive. That's what we're going to be doing at the upcoming Massive Implementation Bootcamp. It's happening in 10 days now. Yeah, Toronto, June 15th and 16th. And this is really the ultimate shortcut to getting, my goal for you is to raise at least $100,000 or more in the next 8 weeks or less. And here's what you get when you come out. So the first thing you get is you get 2 days of solid hands-on training, not just hands-on training, but you actually get hands-on doing. This is called an implementation boot camp because we do two things. We learn and then we implement. We learn and then we implement. And it's actually about 75% implementation and 25% learning. All right. And our primary focus at this boot camp, every boot camp I do is a little bit different, but this one, the whole focus is on creating at least 6 months worth of marketing materials for you so you can go home and set it and forget it. We're going to focus on video logs. So we're going to get 6 months at least worth of video logs ready to go for you. So I've done these events in the past. In fact, I've done these kind of boot camps in the past, charged as much as $5,000 just to attend. Value of this is $19.97 per person. And again, it's a great way for you to mix and mingle and meet other, in this case, probably mostly local, although we got people flying in as well, kick butt real estate entrepreneurs. We'll do a quick review of the whole 5-step process as well. And then again, really dial in on your marketing. So, going over, coming up with topics and actually filming your video logs and getting them edited and getting them uploaded and scheduled to go out for you automatically. So basically you're going to have 6 months worth of marketing ready to go by the time you walk out of that boot camp. So like the saying says, the Bible says, teach a man to fish, feed him for a day, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, feed him forever, right? That's the whole idea here. You're going to learn it, you're going to do it, you'll know how to do it forever. And then there's so much more that's included with this. So if you're not already part of my Money Partner Formula program, you're going to get complete access to all of my online training modules, all of our resources, all of our templates, everything that you need to get this up and running. Okay, so focus area number 1 is all about the list, how to put together your investor list, right? Where to get them, how to get the word out, the marketing. I'm going to show you how, give you all the tools that you need. Focus area number 3, looking the parts. Well, how to create your $1 million investor presentation. In fact, this is a huge bonus, you guys. You're going to actually get my investor presentation. So you can just plug and play your information into it. Now, I put a value of $5,000 on this, and that's not a pie in the sky number I just pulled out. That's actually very conservative. I have invested well over, at this point, well over $40,000 in just getting training, coaching, mentoring, and help with putting together presentations. I applied all of that knowledge into putting together my own investor presentation. I've raised millions of dollars for my deals using this exact presentation. More importantly, my students have used their own version of my presentation and raised literally hundreds of millions of dollars. You're going to be getting this as well. So I put a value of $5,000. All you need to do is put your smiling face on it, put your information in it. It's already laid out. It's already professionally put together. It's all in the right order. You just plug and play. All right, so you're going to get that whole template right off the get-go. Here's an example. This is Brendan. One thing that worked really well for me was the presentation. Did what he said, plugged my information into it, followed his tips, went and had a meeting with an investor. They were more than impressed. I not only got an investor eagerly on board, but got her on board with all of her friends. Got a quick little Facebook message from Constantine a little while ago. Did my first presentation today. It was awesome. I did many meetings like that in the past, but looking like a professional makes a huge difference. It'll make a huge difference for you as well. Okay. And we show you how to practice it, perfect it, do it in person, do it online, do it through webinars. This is huge, you guys. Just like I'm doing today with you, you can do this with your prospective investors. That's what Mark Onaba did with his presentation. He had his first big deal under his belt, needed to raise $440,000 quickly. So he did his presentation. He did it via a webinar, and within a week, he was able to raise the capital he needed to buy that property, add it to his portfolio. 6 months later, found a bigger deal, rinsed and repeated the webinar idea, raised over $1 million in 10 days. That second deal is the one that got him out of the rat race. He was able to quit the job and be a full-time real estate entrepreneur with those 2 deals by doing this presentation via a webinar. So you're going to get a step-by-step webinar tutorial on exactly how to do that yourself as well. Focus area number 4, again, is all about your presentation. and you're going to get all the help you need with that. So this is all part of that online training program, plus focus area number 5, all about testimonials and referrals. Okay. So again, this is what you're getting when you come out to the boot camp in Toronto, June 15th and 16th, not just the boot camp itself. So 2 days of solid training and doing, but you also get that whole online training program, and the $1 Million Investor presentation is all included with that. So probably says it sounds good, Dave, but how much is it going to be? Well, value of that, $89.94. The investment to come out to this boot camp is $19.97. Okay, and you can get your tickets at investorattractionbootcamp.com. All right, so go ahead and you can fill that out there. I've only got at this point 7 spots left, so grab one of them if this makes sense for you. But let me ask you this: if all coming out to this boot camp did was help you to attract $100,000 in the next, let's say, 8 weeks, would it be worth it? If all coming out to this boot camp did was allow you to do one more deal this year and create an extra $50,000 or $75,000 in profits, would that be worth it? If all coming out to this boot camp did was create your own money gas station, your investor gas station, help you to get out of the rat race, become financially free, just like we saw with Marco Naba, just like we saw with Jamie and Leslie Collard, just like we're going to see with other people as well, would it be worth it? All right. So again, the investment is $19.97. However, obviously, I'm going to give you a better deal than that because you guys are part of the right club, because I've got such a great relationship with Daniel and Sarah and Alfonso and the whole gang at the right club. I want to give you guys a much better opportunity. So I'm going to, when you go to investorattractionbootcamp.com right now, instead of investing $19.97, your investment is just $9.97. All right. So I'm going to cut and paste that URL into the chat box right now. Send that to everybody. So you should be able to just click directly on that link in the chat box, and it'll take you right there. So it's not $19.97, it's just $9.97. Again, that's investorattractionbootcamp.com. And to make it even more of a no-brainer for you, I'm going to give you some bonuses, action taker bonuses, for being one of the last 7 people who can take advantage of this. So the first thing is you get to come back to these boot camps for free as often as you want. I usually do one of these boot camps in the East and one of them in the West every year, and every boot camp is a little bit different. We have a different focus area. They're all implementation boot camps, but we focus on a different part of the 5-step process at each boot camp. So you can come to 1, you can come to 2, you can come to as many as you want. And let's say you just came back to 1 boot camp. That would be another $19.97 value, and that is free for you as a bonus when you go to Investor Attraction Bootcamp right now and get your tickets. Another big bonus: why be lonely when you're doing this? Why not bring a friend? So with this offer, you can come and you can bring a friend for free. So that's another $19.97 value. Now, here's the thing. I would prefer that your friend be somebody who's working with you in your business. So that could be a spouse, could be a business partner, could be an adult child, somebody who's working together with you in your real estate deals, not just another real estate investor. Why is that? Because I'm going to be focusing my attention on you. I'm going to be focusing my attention on helping you to create your video logs. I'm not going to be focusing my attention on your guest to create their video logs. Does that make sense? For me, it's all about you. You become my client. I'm working with you. If your friend is working along with you in your business, they're going to help you, support you as well. But bottom line, you get to bring a friend for free, again, when you go to investorattractionbootcamp.com. Another thing is we're going to be creating a nice problem for you, because once you've got the code cracked on attracting investors raising capital, you're going to need more deals. So I've got my program, More Deals Now. This is all about attracting motivated property sellers, getting them to reach out to you interested in you making an offer on the property. And the best deals are always done when you're dealing directly with the property seller. I've sold this program for as much as $1,000 in the past. This is another free bonus for you when you come out to the boot camp June 15th and 16th in Toronto. Again, go to investorattractionbootcamp.com. And last but not least, you're getting a full year of email support as part of the program. You're getting a community as part of the program. You can come back to the events as often as you want as part of the program. But every once in a while, it'd probably be nice if you could just chat with me and have me help you with whatever it is that you need help with. All right. So you're going to get a free strategy session or a free consultation call with me as part of this program. Use it anytime you want within the next year. If you want some feedback on your presentation, if you get stuck with something, if you want to go over anything I can help you out with, you get me at your disposition via Zoom, and we'll go over that as well. So there you go, you guys. You're part of this whole program. You're getting tickets to the event in Toronto, 15th and 16th. You get my entire Money Partner Formula training program, $1 Million Investor Presentation Template, the bonuses of lifetime reattendance, my More Deals Now training program. You can bring a guest for free. You get a one-on-one session with me, total value over $14,000. Again, your investment is just $9.97. And again, you can bring a guest for free. Now, you guys, I gotta let you know, and this is not one of those BS marketer false scarcity things. I am limiting this event to a maximum of 35 people. A maximum of 35 people. That's because there's only one of me, and I want to make sure you get the maximum you can out of this event. So at this point, we have 7 spots left, and that includes guests. So if you'd like to get one of them, go to investorattractionbootcamp.com. Once we fill up, the offer comes down. I believe in rewarding people for taking action. So either way, registration is closing this weekend. All right. So if you want to grab your spot, go to investorattractionbootcamp.com, because bottom line, the only thing that's getting between you and your ideal real estate dream, whatever that is, that dream income, that dream net worth, that dream lifestyle, the only thing that's stopping you is a lack of capital. It's not a lack of deals. There's lots of deals out there. What you need is you need the investors and their capital to do those deals. And that's exactly what we're going to get you. But don't take my word for it, right? I stand behind everything I offer. So come on out. Here's my guarantee. This is my ironclad. Some people call it a brass balls guarantee. Here's how it works. Come out to sign up, get access to everything right from the day one, immediately. You're going to get access to all the online training, my $1 Million Investor presentation, all of that stuff. You get access to that immediately. Then also come out to the 2-day workshop, June 15th and 16th in Toronto, and attend the entire event. Not just day one, not just till day lunchtime, nothing like that. Attend the entire event, both days. If you're not happy for any reason, let me know. I'll give you all your money back. Okay, no hassles, no hard feelings, no questions asked. I'll give you all your money back. So who's taking the most risk? I am. Why am I doing this? Because I know if you're a serious real estate entrepreneur, you're going to get massive value from this event. Just like John Simcoe did. He's at over $32 million raised to date. Little note he wrote for me. Thank you for helping me to attract the money to do my real estate deals. Brian Dagenet went through this process, came out to one of the events, raised the money he needed to buy his next sixplex downtown Ottawa. Bruno Jury used the investor presentation as part of this whole program, raised $200,000 the first time he used it. Craig Lingard. Craig was already a full-time real estate investor, but he was always chasing after the money. Now he has more money chasing him than he's got deals, which is a good place to be in. Paul Reynolds, John Wiles, very professional real estate entrepreneurs, self-storage facilities across North America, already had raised millions of dollars, wanted a system, went through this, did it, raised well over $1.5 million right off the get-go. Karen Leona McKnight, again, did the system, used the video logs, used the presentation. First presentation raised over $80,000. Aaron Belmore did all of this process, did his first online presentation, raised $673,000. Marco Nava, 2 webinars, over 1.52 million raised, got out of the rat race. Jamie and Leslie Collar, we already saw their video, but their initial little pop was they raised 120 grand right off the get-go. That's what got them started. Since then, they've added 45 more doors to their portfolio, raised millions of dollars for their deals. Sheldon Dietz, Dave's programs earned me well over $100,000 in straight up profits. Again, you guys, it's all about raising capital. He or she who raises the most money is the one who's going to win. Now it's your turn. All right. So we're going to wrap things up, you guys. Go to investorattractionbootcamp.com to get your tickets. If you have any questions, please, now's the time. While you're thinking up your questions or while you're doing anything like that, have a quick listen to what other people just like you have to say about this event and taking this training.
I would say that it is a good investment. Obviously, I've had good success in it this year. I did 6 deals in under 1 year since purchasing Dave's program, which has earned me well over $100,000 in straight up profits. So,
but now like people are throwing money at us, and it's like, and not just a little bit of money, right?
Extremely well. So I've received about 70 replies. Wow, that's awesome. I got some great responses. I've got some really good things happening as well. People are like calling me and saying like, "What are you doing? Like, what is this real estate thing?" So,
what's new? A lot of people want to invest now, and I have all these meetings, and I have all these appointments and phone calls, and I'm like, where do I put their money? Yeah.
Dave's telling us how to take these steps, and I'm here to tell you those steps work.
So what's happened already?
Well, last night right after we had dinner, went home. As soon as I got to the hotel room, I had a phone call. And 15 minutes later, I had another phone call.
I did what you recommended me to do. He was my first presentation, so I was a little bit more informal. And he asked a lot of questions, but by the end, he was really happy and excited.
So how much is he willing to invest?
Basically 200. I'm really happy as well. This works.
When I started, I really had no funds of my own. I needed investors right from the start. Over 4 years now, I've raised probably $830,000. I've invested in 11 deals, currently have 7 on the go, with a total portfolio of just over $2 million currently that I manage, and it's growing. And I'm to the point where it is providing a good full-time income.
Hi there, my name is Brendan, and I took Dave's course, and it was totally awesome. He kicked me into gear. I took tons of action. I followed the steps that he laid out. And one thing that worked really well for me was the PowerPoint presentation. I did what he said. I followed his tips, and I went and had a meeting with an investor. They were more than impressed. From Dave's course, I not only got an investor, but I got an investor eagerly on board with all of our friends.
Wow. I mean, the first time we got together was when I had this big deal that I didn't know how to raise capital for, and you helped me. You were really instrumental in helping me see that through. We were able to raise $440,000, which is what we needed to close on that deal. It's mind-blowing. Mind-blowing.
A lot of people promise the world, but you deliver it as well. So right there's 5 deals I can think of that are a direct result of me listening to what you had to say in your program.
All right, there we go, guys. So there you have it, quick recap. So here's what you get. You get the tickets to the full 2-day boot camp, June 15th and 16th in Toronto. This is the only one I'm doing in Ontario this year, people. So if you're thinking you'll wait till the next one, you're gonna have to wait at least a year. You're also gonna have immediate access to the Money Partner Formula online training program, including my $1 Million Investor presentation template. You can grab it, you can personalize it, it's yours, ready to go. You can come back to these events as often as you want for free. You can bring a friend for free. You get access to my More Deals Now training program, so you can find motivated sellers and get the inside scoop on the best deals. And anytime you want, then next year you can book a call with me, happy to jump on and go over anything you want to go over. Total value over $14,000, your investment, just $997 because of the right club. And again, you got nothing to worry about, folks. If you're not absolutely thrilled with it, let me know. I'll give you all your money back. No hassles, no hard feelings, all right? So investorattractionbootcamp.com. We're gonna open up for Q&A right now. Carrie says, booked in, ready to shine. Congratulations, Carrie. That's fantastic. So you got one of the spots. Are you bringing, let me know, are you bringing a friend? Go ahead, type that in the question box. Just let me know. I got some other questions here. Where is the event going to be? Well, why don't we do this, you guys? Let me make sure I don't screw up my technology. Hopefully this works. I'm going to try and share my screen. So when you go to, when you go to the website, Investor Traction Bootcamp, this is what you're going to see. If you have any challenges, call my assistant, Lorna. There's the phone number at the top of the screen. If you have any challenges, any questions, anything like that, okay? Talks a little bit about the bootcamp there. When you're ready, just click on one of the big red buttons there to get your ticket. It talks a little bit about what's involved with that. You can watch some videos, other people that have attended these events, what they had to say about it. Okay, lets you the update on what's all included there. The bonuses, lifetime reattendance, bring a guest for free, more deals now, one-on-one with Dave, all this good stuff. Okay, so when you're ready, just there, and then here's the guarantee as well. All right, the venue, where it's going to be. So we're going to be at the Best Western Plus Toronto Hotel near the airport. So I guess that's actually Mississauga. Okay, so out near the airport, you have to get your tickets before you come. We are not taking any last minute registrations. Same thing with guests. We have to know about your guests ahead of time. The reason is because I'm providing with materials, name tags, certificates, all that kind of good stuff. We need to know the numbers, folks. All right, does that make sense? So that's where it's going to be located. And then, so when you're ready there, just click on the red button. That'll take you to a secure online form. Just fill in your information, your name, your email address, your phone. If you're bringing a guest, type in the name of your guest, please. Please be careful with the spelling because we want to make sure that we get their name tag right and their certificate right as well. Again, no charge for the guest. If you're bringing one, make sure you put their name in there. If you're not sure who you're going to bring as a guest, just put in there to be determined, and then Lorna will reach out to you and get the name of the guest as well. Okay. And then if you want to invest using your Visa or MasterCard, we can take either one of those. And then there you go. Just click that. And then scroll down to the bottom and click on the order form. And Bob's your uncle. You will be registered. And you'll be one of the lucky 35 people to participate in this year's boot camp, massive implementation boot camp. Again, June 15th and 16th in Toronto. All right, folks. Teresa says, if I attend in Toronto, can I re-attend out west? Good question, Teresa. Answer, yes. That's what the lifetime re-attendance is. So you get to come back once, you get to come back twice, you get to come back as often as you want to any of the events that any of these boot camps that you want to attend. Lifetime attendance means as long as I'm alive and as long as I'm alive and you're alive and I'm putting on these boot camps, you are welcome to come back as often as you like, wherever they are. So if, we have lots of people that fly in from out west to come to the ones in the east. We have people from the east fly into the ones in the west. It just really is an opportunity to spend 2 or 3 days working in your business and on your business so that you can go back home and you can set it and forget it. All right, good question. Any other questions, folks? Okay, somebody's asking about payment plan. No, I'm sorry. That's the ticket price. The event's happening in less than 2 weeks. So $997 is already $1,000 off. So no, unfortunately, we don't have a payment plan. Sorry about that. Okay. How do I get access to the online training? Well, what you're going to do is when you register, you're going to be automatically get a confirmation email letting you know that you've got your tickets and that we've got you registered. Then you're going to get a second email that's going to welcome you to the Money Partner Formula training program. And that will give you all the links that you need to log in, create your username and password, and then you've got full access to all the online training. Now, another quick note there is you've got lifetime access. So anytime that gets updated, you don't have to do an upgrade in your program. You're going to get that included already. Anytime I do live trainings from time to time, you get access to that as well. You get access to our private members community online as well. All of that immediately right off the get-go. All right, good questions, you guys. All right. Well, if that's all, I want to respect everybody's time, and I want to thank you very much for being on the live call tonight. And what's going to happen for your bonuses for being on the live call is they're going to get emailed to you automatically within about an hour of the presentation. So just keep an eye out for your email for that. And in the meantime, if you've signed up, I look forward to seeing you in Toronto in about a week and a half on June 15th and 16th. We're going to dive in deep and get you at least 6 months worth of marketing done in those 2 weeks, those 2 days. Get it, set it and forget it so you can be off to the races. All right, you guys, if you have any other questions, Carrie says, thank you, Dave. Very excited to get started. I'm very excited that you're coming out as well. Okay. Very good. Okay, guys, look forward to seeing you. Thank you very much. I'll leave that screen up. And if you have any questions, or actually, I'll leave this screen up. Go ahead and type them in the question box, but I'm going to mute myself and just appreciate you being on the call. All right, take care. God bless.